Well, welcome to the Leadership Lounge. It's great to have you here with us today. Today I have Hayley, Partridge and James Pointon, who are here from Higher Performance Marketing. And they're here with us because we're going to look at the whole concept of higher performance. So we have here Hayley, who's a multi-business owner. She's a qualified therapist and business coach and a mentor for female entrepreneurs. And then James has spent over 3 decades in sales and marketing and built and sold a multi-million pound IT business in 2019. So they know all about higher performance and how to bring that about. I first met James and Hayley in a Stowmarket Chamber of Commerce networking meeting, and it was really obvious for me straight away that they knew what they were talking about with regards to marketing and higher performance. And in fact, we used them to help us develop our new website. So do take a look at everydayleader.co.uk. Great piece of new website that we're really delighted with. So I'm delighted to have them join us today. So welcome Hayley, welcome James. Great to have us here with us on the Leadership Lounge podcast. So just first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into leadership. Perhaps Hayley, let's start with you.
Sure. I think I've probably always been a leader rather than a follower. As a little girl, it tends to be called bossy. I think boys get leadership skills, but girls get bossy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I was the second born, but eldest of 3 girls, and I think even in the family unit, I was the leader as such. I left school, went into law. All my friends went off to college, but I wasn't going to be kind of compliant with what everybody else wanted me to do, so I went and got a job for a law firm. Fell pregnant at 19, so a bit of a kind of standstill there with the career side of things. But of course, parenting is ultimate leadership. It's where you learn most about yourself. It's where you learn most about other people. So then going back into my career, I then trained in women's health and psychology. Always naturally gravitated towards the leadership role because it's where I was most comfortable, really. I'm a bit non-compliant, so it's kind of there. And then had my own business and leading teams for myself and in other businesses in finance and law as well. So it's been many paths, but with a running theme from those skills as a young girl that kind of I realised ended up being leadership skills essentially. And I think all of us, when we go on those journeys, which seem to like go in zigzags rather than straight lines, they're all about that building that experience as you go along the journey. They don't make sense at the time, but then it all comes together and you realise they are actually all interconnected.
That's great, thank you. James, what about you? What's your kind of your career and leadership journey been like?
Well, like you just touched on, I've been in sales and marketing now for over 3 decades. I've always been interested in business, so I've built businesses, I've sold businesses, been in different management roles, working for other businesses. Always sort of had my foot in different leadership roles, in and out different sales roles, in and out different marketing roles, and so on. So. Born and bred in Nottingham originally. I left there at a very early age, knew that Nottingham wasn't for me, because I always had this sort of growth mindset, and I always felt that Nottingham was a bit sort of stuck in its ways. But then I moved to London for 13 years, and then in the last sort of, 15 years now, I've moved to Suffolk, and here we are today.
Well, it's great to have you both here with us. And we kind of want to discover a little bit about you, your thinking, what drives higher performance, hence the name of your company. Hayley, you've got a master's in counselling and psychotherapy. So now I'm feeling on the back foot and you're analysing me as I'm interviewing. And you're also an NLP master practitioner. So what does that bring to your kind of approach to coaching, which is a key aspect of what you do, and to your kind of leadership?
It plays into everything that I do, really. It's a lens in which I kind of look through everything. So from a leadership perspective in higher performance, leading our team as such, you see the person. You see the person that you're trying to lead and the problems that they have. And if they're not performing, you see you're looking at why they're not performing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of looking through that lens, and it's the same in my coaching. You know, the problem is never the problem, as us coaches
Yes,
like to
yeah,
say. So
yeah.
what somebody comes to you with is never actually what's really going on. So looking to help people break down those barriers and understand really what is bottlenecking, what's really going on.
Yeah. So what I'm picking up there is that it's brought that curiosity, which is a key part of coaching.
Yeah.
And so that curiosity allows you to be starting to think what's sitting behind either what someone's bringing to me or behind the organisation that we're working with. What, as you say, what's the bottleneck? And you start to get curious about that.
Yeah. I think going from the counselling to the coaching was always really interesting, because counselling is so much about the past.
Yes.
And digging up the past.
Yes.
Whereas coaching is always forward thinking and
Yeah.
looking forward.
Yeah.
So it's having the ability to coach our team or coach my women and understand really what's going on from their past that's made them, you know, where they are today and why they've got the struggles that they've got today, to be able to coach them through that.
Yeah. And so one of the reasons we have this podcast is to help people listening, and although they may not have their masters in counselling or psychotherapy, that key aspect of curiosity can be something that's really helpful when we're looking to develop either higher performance in ourselves as an individual or in our organisation. So that's great even to draw that out already for our listeners. So for both of you, you've built higher performance marketing together. Looking back, what do you see as perhaps the lessons that you've learned, both from mistakes and successes, that have shaped the business and therefore brought higher performance? Yeah, what have, as you've gone from zero to where you are now, what's the learning?
I think one of the biggest lessons that also reminded me of this on Monday this week was that trust your instinct. That gut feeling is your second brain, and it's telling you messages, and you need to listen to it. So we've made mistakes by ignoring it, haven't we? And the success has come from goal setting. And something that Hayley and I both do is in January we take ourselves away out the business with no distractions, and we set our goals, and then we work our way backwards to reverse engineer how we're going to get there. And that's how we've got to where we are and we've grown. So that's part of our success so far. We've got a good team around us now. We've sometimes not had the right person in our business. It's not a mistake. It's something that you learn along the way.
Yeah. So some great stuff there. Again, if we're helping listeners unpick some key things, you've talked about that instinct, that gut feel, listening to it and responding to it, not ignoring it, being really key, and this key thing around setting goals. And then, okay, if that's the goal, what are the steps then that I need to take towards that? So already we're dropping some key important bits. Hayley, anything in addition to James's stuff around what's brought, you know, higher performance to higher performances and the lessons you've learned?
Well, it's not the first business for either of us. It's our first together actually, but it's not our first individually. So it is learning from those mistakes, like James said, and experience also helps with the instinctual side of things as well, because stuff starts to feel a bit familiar if it goes awry. But I think we are we're still learning. We're always learning. We've kind of got that growth mindset where we are always learning, and we take our strengths in high performance and we adopt them with our clients as well. So, you know, one of the first things that we tend to do as a marketing company with a new client is goal setting. You know, we have to understand where are they going, what is it that they're trying to aim for. So it's that kind of paradigm goes right through everything that we do, whether it's leading our team or actually looking after our clients.
And just to reflect my experience where you worked with me to bring the new website is, and that's actually what got you the business, was taking the time to really understand where our business was and where we wanted to go with it. That gave me the confidence, actually this is somebody who wants us to move forward. And then when we signed up, again, you were taking that that rigor to really understand what is it that we were looking for and aiming
Yeah.
for. So yeah, I'm feeding back. That's true what you're talking about, and again for our listeners, that really understanding where you want to go is absolutely crucial.
I think that comes from passion, doesn't it? We actually
Yeah.
love what we do. We're extremely passionate about it. And when we take on a client, we want to help them in every way we can to achieve that goal, don't we? Every time. And we have to look at the bigger picture. And sometimes some business owners come to us and they've never looked at that,
No.
have they? And they've gone, oh my God, I never knew that I should be doing this and should be doing that. And I thought I could just go and do that. It's like, well, no, you can't, because you need to put these things in place first. It's like, oh, well, that's why we built the whole strategy around it.
Yeah.
And our whole team is built around results. So we just got a really good result for a client recently, and we share it with the team, and everyone's literally virtually high-fiving. They love it.
Yeah.
And that's that sort of culture that we've
That's
built.
our workplace culture through higher performance.
Yeah.
We love it. We want to see you do well, grow, get more inquiries, get more, sell whatever it is you're selling. Whatever the goal is, we're going to get you there.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit later around team and performance, but you're dropping in some already for our listeners around creating that shared culture, and for you that is around helping the client for higher performance. It is around sharing the successes back, because it is about looking at the kind of performance and the results and giving feedback so people know when they've been successful. So key part of when you're working with your team.
And success is different for everybody, isn't it? So you've got to understand what success looks like for any one person to be able to help them reach success.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's dive a little deeper then into high performance itself. And when people hear high performance, often people just think, oh, it means I've got to work harder. But it isn't all about that. So did a quick sort of Google AI search to see what the cyber bots out there say high performance is. I'm going to start with those 4, but then ask you what you think about that. Are there any there you wholeheartedly agree with, or any that you would add instead? So when we have a look, it says clear vision and alignment to that vision. Interesting. I think that one taps a little on some of the stuff you've just mentioned. For it to be psychologically safe for people in the team, and therefore then there can be ownership of what everybody owns what you're doing, and a sense of accountability to that. Then good communication and collaboration, and then continuous improvement, that sense of constantly where are we at, what do we need to do better, and also agile response. So if something isn't working, that response to it. So that's what the AI and the bots say, but what do you guys from High Performance say? What does high performance actually mean to you? What do you see as the key components? Who wants to start first?
Those 4 you've mentioned there from AI.
Yeah.
Thanks, AI. AI is not always right.
No, that's right. So I was always checking and balancing with things.
Okay, so I think it was number 3 was the communication.
Yeah.
That's paramount, and we see so many businesses fail with communication, even with their own clients.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a massive one. For high performance, communication is paramount.
Yeah.
The number 1, number 2, they need to be standards. They're just your standards.
Yeah.
And I think high performance, from my perspective, and I'm probably Hayley may agree. I don't know. We'll find out in a second. But high performance is being the best of the best, and being the best I can be for what we're doing, whether it's actually inside our own business, or whether what we're doing for our client. So for instance, when it was your website, take for example, we wanted that to be the best of the best. So what we did was get you a brand new photo shoot. So we've got the best images on the best website, delivering the best SEO, the best mobile optimization. Everything is 10 out of 10 on everything. And it shows that also in your speed insights that we did for you. Everything was in the 90%, if not 100%. So that's the best of the best. That's high performance for me. I don't. Now Hayley's going to disagree.
No, not at all. I think a lot of people kind of do think of high performance as pushing harder and fast.
Yeah.
You know, that's that vision a lot of people have, isn't it? Like performance cars, and it's just pushing hard. And I think that is responsible for a lot of entrepreneurs burning out because they believe that that's what high performance is just pushing harder. If I'm not successful, it's because I'm not pushing hard enough. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it's actually about slowing down and having a look at what's really going on.
It's having that clarity, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well, because like it's all right. People going, yeah, I've got to get this done. I'm busy, and like we go, whoa, slow down. What are you trying to achieve? Where's the clarity in the goal?
Yeah.
Right, and what are the steps to get to that? A lot of people talk about chaos, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's like, right, stop. Like let's
tuning in.
What are you trying to get
being
to?
Being self-aware.
Right. That's easy. It's just simply but 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where you'll be.
Yeah. So I love what we're drawing at here around that. It is about that responsiveness, isn't it? It's not about working bish bash bosh, hard. Sometimes you do have to just press pause, and so it's that again links to that curiosity. Well, hang on, what's happening here? What is needed here? Actually, if I keep rushing on and pushing this, I might burn my team out. They're not ready for this yet. I've got to just ease this. And there's almost this dexterity of watching, responding, pausing. What do my team need here? Are they ready for it? Because if I push them too fast now, no, actually, I just need to slow this for a few weeks, get them really on board with it, then we'll be ready to accelerate again, isn't it? So it's that, almost you talked about the analogy of a high performance car. We're not just in a straight line, and sometimes you do have to brake, don't you? Coming into the bend, and then you accelerate coming out of the bend. And so it's that same principle. Sometimes high performance is about braking at the right time, as in putting our brakes on, not as in snapping, and then at other points we can accelerate harder.
You're absolutely right. And it's about taking the racing line through that bend. You can't go flat out around a corner. You'll just come off and crash. So you're absolutely right. You do need to apply the brakes, slow the car down. It's slow in racing terms. It's slow in, fast out, because you're going to get the right line, and that's that clarity.
It's a considered approach, isn't it? Particularly in marketing, it's evolving so quickly. You know, with AI technology, it's never evolved as quickly as it is right now. So you do have to slow down to be able to really look at the bigger picture and be able to pivot really, really quickly.
Because even me as a non-marketeer understands that just when you think you've got it right, they all change the rules again. So even in that marketing concept, we can carry that through to high performance generally. It's just spotting what's going on. It comes back to that curiosity again, doesn't it? What's going on? How do I respond accordingly? Great. Okay. So Hayley, I'd like to pick out a bit more again, linking to you around the coaching. So many listeners will understand the principle that an elite athlete will have a coach. And so we have no problem, do we? We might hear of, Usain Bolt and he has his sprint coach or whatever. And we have no issue with teams that have their defence coach and their attack coach. But also coaching is key for us as individuals if we want to improve. So when you're coaching people, how do you work with them to develop that understanding of what high performance is?
I think you're right. Everybody does think of athletes when they think of coaching. But it's more, it's less about somebody going on a 100-metre sprint and more about hurdles.
Right.
So from my perspective, the coaching is actually helping people overcome those hurdles. So they can go faster and longer. Rather than just kind of having a clear run at it, because that's not realistic. So it's kind of a bit different to the athletic side of coaching. What I do is essentially it's breaking down those hurdles. So identifying them. Intervening, and that helps people to be the best version of themselves.
Brilliant, thank you. So we've covered some core aspects of what generally high performance is. Let's look at it now in terms of working with a team and team performance. And one of my favourite books is Patrick Lencioni's Five Dysfunctions of a Team, which is always a bit strange because he's talking about what makes a really dysfunctional team. But obviously we then take the flip principles around actually if we can eliminate these, we can have a high performing team. So Lencioni lists absence of trust as the first one.
Yeah.
Core part, he has it as like a pyramid. It's the one that holds everything else up.
Indeed.
If you haven't got trust, then all the others, actually, you can have all the others, but if trust isn't there, it just isn't going to work. The second one is fear of conflict. As you and I know, often we tend to think conflict is bad, but actually we need healthy conflict. We need to bring the issues out. But if people are fearing conflict, then the issues don't get dealt with. Lack of commitment, and that's like everybody committed to the goal. Avoidance of accountability, and that isn't just that the leader isn't holding the people to account, it's we're not holding each other to account to the goals that were set. And number 5 was inattention to results. In other words, we're not looking at the data, we're not looking at how we're doing, and therefore we don't really know how we're doing. So let's take each of these and just explore with you kind of how they contribute to high performance. So that first one, absence of trust, means that you're a lower performing team, but if you have trust, it's a core part of a high performing team. Flesh that one out for us.
I completely agree that that is the foundation of everything that's built on it. But it's not just about trusting your team, it's trusting ourselves to lead a team and trust in our ability to get where we're going. So again, it takes you back to that kind of coaching of you've got to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're only going to go so far, you're going to plateau.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your team members. If there's stuff there that's not dealt with, if they don't have belief in themselves to get where they go, where you need them to go, where the business needs them to go, they're just not going to get there. So they have to trust in you as a leader, and they have to trust in themselves as well.
So how do we develop trust in our team so that our team members are trusting each other, we trust them, they trust us? How do we foster trust? Any thoughts on that to help with that higher performance?
That's the coaching principles, I think. It's the communication. So you've got to be approachable. They have to be able to open up, but you've got to coach that out of them as well. So it's having those people skills to enable you to work out if there's not trust, but having communication to make sure there is. Yeah.
I think that's totally right, isn't it? And that communication is a key part of how we get to know each other as well, which that's certainly my experience, that when you get to know each other as people, that again can generate it. You know, when we start to tell our personal story. So if I may, James, you were telling me beforehand as we were chatting through, you were talking about your kind of background was not, you know, from a particularly affluent background. That started to build trust with me because my background was the same. We were from a low income background. So as we tell each other's story, that then builds connection because we understand where someone's coming from, and if we've got a similar shared experience, that becomes the Venn diagram, doesn't it? So that then kind of helps that with that. So thank you for sharing that bit beforehand.
That's all right.
And hopefully it's okay me now talking about it now in
it's
terms
of vulnerability,
that vulnerability and trust element that comes through with it.
Just on the subject of trust as well, I think I'd throw something else in here. There's a couple of elements I think helps build the trust. One is accountability, because if you're going to give someone a task to do and they do it to their best ability and they do it on time, I then trust that person to carry on doing that task and give them another one and give them another one.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, we, like when we first spoke to you about building your website, to build trust, we had to show evidence of what we've done previously.
Yes.
It's like, this is why you can trust us.
Yeah.
Because one, we understand your industry. Two, we've built businesses, and that's really important. We've built businesses, we understand it. We've done it for other people successfully.
Yeah.
They're all having these results. That's how we prove to you. So there you go, you know what, I trust these guys.
Yeah.
And your gut instinct is then telling you, he's telling the truth and he's being honest.
Yeah.
So you're listening to that instinct, and that's where the trust is building. So there's all these different elements that really build that trust thing.
Yeah, because trust isn't one thing, is it? It's just as we've said, it's about getting to know each other, it's about communication. You've just brought in this one around actually our past performance makes a difference. And I suppose there's a thing there for leaders about giving people initially tasks that they can succeed in, and that we scaffold it to help them succeed, that builds that track record then with colleagues and with us as part of that process.
So even as looking at our team, the ones who we know about, how old their children are, we know when it's their birthdays, we know, all of those things, and you get a real insight into their lives. That builds trust from us too.
And two-way, isn't it? Because then if they know that you know them personally, again, that's another piece of Lencioni's work around truth about employee engagement. That's one of the key bits, that I'm known by the boss. So again, that builds trust. The next one was fear of conflict. So generally, oh no, I mustn't have conflict. And in fact, a lot of people I work with, one of the biggest issues that comes up that they want help with in coaching or training is, how do I hold that challenging conversation? Because I really don't want conflict. Yet, healthy conflict, really talking through the tricky issues, is key. So flesh that one out for us in terms of
it leaks out a lot in business, I think. If you fear conflict, often what I see with my clients is you're underpriced. We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? How people will underprice when they're starting because they don't want somebody to challenge them on their quote or whatever. So it leaks out into everyday business as such. But from a leadership perspective as well, if you're scared of having that those conversations, and you don't have the skill to have those conversations, the leadership skills, your staff are going to walk all over you, and then there is no leadership. Leadership isn't, a lot of people think leadership is just about keeping the team happy, and it's not. There has to be healthy conflict. And also we learn as leaders, when we have those communications with our team, they feed back to us, and that's where we can be self-reflective and learn and grow as well, and that has a knock-on effect to the whole team, really.
I think having the healthy conflict that you've just talked about, this is where emotional intelligence comes in massively, because when you're leading a team, I mean, I'm leaning on past experience from myself when I've led teams, is that if you share the big picture of where this business is going, and like you've probably read the book, Who's Driving the Bus. If everyone's on the bus and you're driving it and you're following the sat nav, but we all know where the sat nav's going for, because we all set the postcode in it. We all know where we're going. So here's the big map. Here's the big idea. This is what we're all working for. And every individual has a key part playing towards that number one goal. So we have this common goal to achieve together. Now, if somebody's not performing, we need to then go, okay, why is it not performing? Have I failed you by, you're a specialist in this area, and actually what I've done is, so for, I don't know, let's say you want to make some bread. You're the specialist at grinding the flour and getting the flour ready, but what I've given you is to break the eggs. So I've given you the wrong role. So from a leadership manager position, I've given you the wrong. That's a failure. I mean, I should have given it to someone else. So you have to be open-minded in that respect, or you have to think, so what extra help do you need? Because you're the best at grinding the flour for the bread. So how come we're not? Is there something going wrong that you've not told me? Because this is part of a bigger issue, and I want to help you.
So there's that sense again of curiosity and trying to understand what the problem is, and then looking if what is it I need to bring in to help them, but equally holding them to account to that, because you've all agreed the direction you're heading, and if they're not contributing their bit, it impacts on others and it impacts on your direction. So again, as I'm hearing this, a key part of high performance is, if this direction we've set is so important, then actually this trumps any uncomfortableness I might have around having a conversation with this person, because if I don't have this conversation with this person, then this vision and direction will be affected, and the colleagues are going to be affected in achieving it. So that's again,
we're
really
always
crucial.
looking to kind of coach people through an issue. So if they're not performing to their very best, and they're not performing for the company, then we look to coach them through that. What do you need from us? What is stopping you from performing at your very best? And sometimes it's just not good enough. It's sometimes they're just not the right person for your company. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean they wouldn't thrive somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they just don't belong in your
Yeah.
team. But we always try and coach somebody through it first to
Yeah,
see.
I love that. So those two questions are absolutely key first, aren't they?
Yeah.
And because you're asking a question, you're still holding someone to account, but you're doing it in a way where you're giving them the ownership to name what it is and take ownership of that issue. And so therefore you're not just wagging your finger and saying you're not good enough, get on with it. You're asking them the question to, again, be curious themselves and identify what is it that's holding them back.
And they have to trust that you're going to. They have to trust in you that what they feed back to you,
Yeah.
if it's a failure on our part,
Yeah.
that we're actually going to act on it.
So that in some ways links nicely to number 3, which is around lack of commitment as well. And it links with both bits, both the direction of the bus that we were talking about and also those review meetings. So commitment and lack of it means low performance. If we're committed to where we've set, it should be higher performance. Yeah. Any reflection on that one?
It's our job as leaders to keep that momentum. Like quite often when you have a new team member join, they are really keen to show willing and perform at their absolute best. But there's something about human nature where that tends to tailor off, and people tend to do the minimum that they can get away with without causing conflict. You know, we've seen that for decades in business. So it's our job as leaders to actually identify what's going on there and actually keep them part of the common goal and keep that momentum up, keep them as passionate to prove their point 5 years down the line as they were in week 5.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of the commitment. Is us. We hold some of that accountability as leaders.
I think we do, and from what you mentioned, that reminds me again of what I mentioned earlier about Lencioni's work around the truth about employee engagement. That first one known by the boss, but the other two around they know their purpose and how it fits, and they're also getting feedback, the third one, around when they've been successful. So if we're giving them that kind of feedback, letting them know, then that keeps that engagement going, doesn't it? Yeah. So the fourth one was avoidance of accountability. So that sense that not just the boss not holding to account, but we all hold each other to account to the higher performance. Yeah, any reflection on that from you guys in your experience?
Oh, is it my turn? Everybody needs to be accountable in the business, don't they? Especially as a leader. And of course, when you're demonstrating that accountability, you're hoping that that's rubbing off on others, aren't you?
I think we struggle with accountability now more than we ever have.
Yeah.
Not personally, but with younger team members coming in, dare I say.
Yeah.
But
there's this no blame culture now, isn't there? We get to on another subject, but it's even advertised on TV. It's not your fault, isn't it? So
there tends to be a general lack of accountability in the generations growing up. So if you find somebody that actually has that, along with the talent and the skill, it's the hard one to coach on. It's a hard skill to develop. You kind of either do hold yourself accountable. It's about agency, isn't it? You either do hold yourself accountable or you don't. And a lot of that is mindset. So until somebody is ready to hold themselves accountable, there's little you can do.
I think the one I found helpful is there's a company called Bishop and Miller, and they work very much on the Kaizen principle, stone market based one. And the phrase they have is blame the process, not the person, which in one sense might feel what you're talking about, but actually I think it really works because everyone stops and everyone says, okay, so the process has just not worked then. What do we all bring to that? So there's a sense that if there is somebody that feels vulnerable and therefore can't own the bit they need to own, coming in to look at it together to say what is it we can do, and taking that same principle when you're having a one-to-one may help some of those that have that lack of that kind of accountability and are trying to avoid it.
It's never useful to point a finger at somebody.
Yeah.
And you also have to understand that we are all the way we are for a reason. You know, lack of accountability comes from childhood, doesn't it? You know, and the helicopter parenting days that we tend to have now doesn't help. And I think that's kind of why we are seeing the generation struggling with that accountability. But yeah, Bishop and Miller's way is the best way of dealing with it, for sure.
Looking at it as a whole.
I challenge that.
Would you? Go on.
Well, what if that person that says this way is not working for me, what if it's actually down to them not taking accountability?
Yeah, well, and I think these two still need to be held alongside each other, isn't it? If actually someone is continually doing that aspect, then we do have to do that. And it's about saying, this is what we agreed together. This is what I see as happening here. What is it that you need to do to ensure that? And then it links a bit to what you were saying earlier. And what is it that I need to do to help you to achieve that?
So this goes all the way back to recruitment.
Yeah.
The person you're trying to employ has to be a team player. Because we've got people in our team that love being a team player, and then others we can leave alone and they just get on with it. And then they respond to things, but they're not massively bothered about being part of the team. Are they?
No. We have had people.
So we manage them differently, but
We have had people on our team who don't hold themselves accountable, and that has always been a challenge, because if nothing's ever your fault, it's very difficult to kind of look at what's really going on.
Yeah,
because people's brains are tuned into finding excuses rather than actually looking at themselves.
yeah,
Unfortunately, that's the way of the world.
yeah.
It's sad.
Which brings you back to kind of the trust and having those open conversations where somebody doesn't feel challenged as such by you, but feels able, and your coaching skills to be able to get that out of them.
Yeah, that's the key
See
aspect.
what's really going on.
For someone that is in that position, coaching is going to be perhaps the most helpful way of leadership style to bring them through. Yeah. And the last one before we move on was that inattention to results. So that is looking at your results, looking at your data, which I know is what drives you. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about that and the importance of that for high performance.
Is that the importance of the data?
Yeah, data and results.
Everything we do in our business is data fed. We have a saying, it's DOPE.
Right.
Data over people every time. So I'll give you an example. We work with a client who works in the East Midlands, and they said to us when they first came on board with us as a retainer client, we look after everything for them. And they said to us, December, January is always dead, so we go away for the whole of January. And I looked at the data from Google of when people are searching for their service.
Yeah.
And I said, you won't be going away next year, you won't be going away in January. They went, it's always quiet, that's what we've always done. I said, you won't be going. And they said, why? And I said, because what we're doing and building up, your website, your SEO, the social proofing, your video content, YouTube channel, everything we're building right now is building more inquiries. And crucially, the data shows that in January is the peak of the whole year of inquiries for what you sell. And they went, no. And I went, yep. And I said, watch this space.
And
so everybody else
runs,
all their competitors run Google ads all the way through January because they're desperate to get the inquiries. They're number one in Google for over 8 keywords, all associated with the service they sell. They are number one in their area, and they sat there not running Google ads, and they were flat out.
Smashed it,
weren't they? Absolutely smashed it. They wrote like £120,000 worth of business in that month, and they were like, we've never been so busy. And we said, we'd love to be busy in December and January.
That was we asked them
goal.
how you know you've been successful working with us as part of the discovery call, wasn't it? It was, or the onboarding. How will you know that we've been successful working together? And it was like, well, if you can make us busy in December and January. And then we laughed, didn't we? It was like, gosh, we're so busy in December, like, busiest month ever.
The highest record of sales inquiries. And why? Why was it? Because we looked at the data.
Yeah.
We knew what we had to go for.
Yeah.
We've got to be number one by January. Okay, no problem. Well, this is what we do. This is how we do it.
So when you're working, that's one example of how you use data. Anything else that you use for your role in higher performance marketing? We'll come in a minute as to how we might take that on. But how else do you use data then to help performance?
I think data plays such a big part in the marketing side of things, because we've all got different opinions about what should work. Social media is a massive one, isn't it? Well, this should work and this should work. This is really cool. Oh, I watch them like videos like this, and it's like, often you can think something's going to go viral. It's like, that is such a great video, you know, and it really doesn't.
Yeah.
And when you look at the data, it's like, this is what has actually done really, really well.
Yeah.
And it surprises us. But that's why it's important to keep so close. For a marketing company, it's so important to try new things and not just go with the trends, but you've kind of got to go along the road, but you've got to hop off now and then to try new things. Otherwise, you're always going to be behind everyone else. You've got to be forward thinking.
Yeah.
But the data leads us in what we do more of. It's like, well, that works, so we need to do more of that. And that's not always what we think is going to work. So we have to be data led. You know, evidence based practice is something that I'm trained to do. So that data then forms such a big part of what drives us moving forward. You know, we have KPIs within our business. We have goals. We have KPIs for our teams. You know, our task management, all of that kind of stuff. So the data feeds back, and you can identify when things are starting to slip. And it takes the emotion and the, you know, we've all got limiting beliefs. We all have good days. We all have bad days. So when you can take that emotion away and look at what the data's actually saying, it helps you make decisions moving forward. But then at the same time, we have this balancing out where we're always trying to be person-centered as well. So it's it does lead the way, but with empathy.
Simplified, data tells you what's working and what's not, and gives you the opportunity to change it.
And then it's working with people once you've discovered that.
And when things are working, you can double down on it as well.
And I guess it takes if there is conflict even within the team about what you should be doing, it almost becomes the trump card that guides you.
It's try new things, but you have to be able to see whether they're working or not.
So in terms of then taking that wider beyond marketing and into sort of leading generally and into general high performance, what's the contribution of data there? How should our listeners be using data to help them perform better in their organisations? Any thoughts on that? Hayley's turned to James. James is now looking at Hayley. Oh, great, you're giving it to me. What do you think?
I think, again, it comes back to using the data to see how your team is performing, what's working well and what's not. And it's being analytical about it. But I think it's key that you share that data. And it's key to share that common goal that we talked about earlier. So share that common goal, share the data with them. Obviously make everyone aware that we're going to record the data. Because it helps us perform better. So everyone it might feel that they're being monitored, but we need to do this to achieve where we're going to go. And everyone, as long as everyone's agreed to that and everyone's happy to be on the bus, then the bus can go to its destination.
So you're talking about that clear comms again at the beginning. Where's the vision? Clear comms around this is what we're monitoring and why we're monitoring it. So you get engagement in it. Feedback of that, so people then hear it. So that links with what we were saying earlier about letting people know when they're performing well, which then drives them to go forward.
The bigger a company grows, the further away the team get from the bottom line and where you're trying to get to, because it's not communicated to them. You know, we talked about how people might bring in new systems and processes and not communicating with the team about why that is. So they just think it's a blooming inconvenience. You know, so, well, what was wrong with the way we used to do it? And now I've got to work harder, I've got to learn this, or you know, but there's no link there between why we're making change and the actual bottom line. So when that link is there and it's communicated and everybody is on the bus, then it makes so much more sense and everybody's on board and you can move forward much better.
Absolutely. So data's really key, and we're told to trust the data, but then we've also got leaders that rely on that sense of instinct, often perhaps driven by past experience. You talked about this earlier. So how do we strike that balance right between data-driven decisions and that human judgment and instinct? Any thought on the complexity of that one?
I think it's a very, very good balance if you can get it right. Because your instinct, you can check against data. I mean, for example, when you've led teams in your past, have you had the instinct on something or a person and then had to check it against the data, or did you not have the data and had to go with how your instinct on it?
I think quite often where you have data on somebody, it will align with your instinct. And of course, remember, data isn't just numbers, is it? Data can be information that you've gathered about that person. So we talked earlier about recruitment. Some of the data is their letter of application. Has it got in there what they've done, a story about what they've done and the impact they've had? That is a bit of data. Your reference is a bit of data, isn't it? So often your instinct will link to that. And in terms of my previous role was recruitment around education. So you would hold the interview and then you check the reference once you've made a decision to see whether that counterbalances. And 9 times out of 10, actually, it did align. Very rarely did it not.
Our instinct as well isn't just some sort of sixth sense that we've got. It comes from experiences and recognition of patterns.
Yes.
So the more experienced we've got, the more instinct we tend to have, and the more we trust our instinct as well. I know, looking back, that any time I've strongly ignored my instinct, I've regretted it.
Yeah.
Whatever the data says, it's kind of like I should have listened. I knew.
Yeah. And in one sense, what you're reflecting there is actually our instinct is this almost subliminal set of data that's been layered upon itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
That actually, in one sense, that instinct is partly data.
Yeah.
Yeah. From all our previous experiences in moments like this, which in one sense, when you were describing marketing, all this type is performing this way. That again is layered data, isn't it? Yeah. All of these types of adverts or whatever perform in this way. Our instinct is that same pattern. Yeah. So we should find that quite often it does align.
It does align, yeah.
And where it doesn't, then there is something for us to be curious about, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it usually is. Rarely our instincts are completely wrong. Sometimes the data can be looked at skewed, can't it? You know, what doesn't speak can't lie and all that with data, but data can be skewed.
Yes.
What you put in is what you're going to get out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if rubbish is going in, you're going to get rubbish out with data.
Yeah.
So sometimes your instinct sort of overtakes the data, because if you can spot that, like, I'm not sure this information is correct that's been going into it to give me this result, you can your instinct will tell you straight away.
Yeah.
So trust your instinct.
That's curiosity coming back in as well, isn't it?
I'm wondering as well whether there's something important about a couple of, particularly if there's a team, several of you looking at the data, because there is a sense where sometimes our own confirmation bias, our own preferences can find the bit of data that we want to see, but by having several of us look at it, we should hopefully reduce the chance of our confirmation bias filter skewing what we're presenting or what we're taking from that data to perform.
But then we were talking about psychometric testing, weren't we? You know, that's literally getting data on people.
Yeah.
We were buying a business, weren't we? We were looking at buying a business a few years ago, and it was a leadership coaching business actually, in another part of the country. And the chap that was selling the business asked if he could do psychometric testing on us, didn't he? As
I immediately said no.
The curiosity got the better of him, so we did do that, and that was him putting kind of data into the mix, if you like. He dressed it up a lot like it was just, well, this is what we do as part of our leadership coaching. Do you want to play along kind of thing. It was very much played down, but really we knew that what he was doing was getting data from us about how we were going to take over the company, how we were going to lead, what our skill set was, whether we were trustworthy, all of those things. So he was kind of almost trying to transition our people skills into data to be able to really see if there was an alignment there.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we come into the last part of our session today, let's just explore it around leadership. So Hayley, you're someone that coaches women entrepreneurs, to achieve high performance. So are there any particular mindset issues that you come across that you really help explore with them to help them achieve higher performance?
Yeah, I see the same ones again and again, really.
Yeah.
We all come with a different story. That's why I love what I do, because we all come with different stories.
Yeah.
But the same patterns do tend to repeat themselves. So the lack of confidence is obviously a really big one.
Yeah.
It shows up in sort of not being visible as far as marketing yourself is concerned, but it also shows up in undercharging, overworking. You're going to end up with burnout, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
None of that works really well when you're trying to be a high performer in business.
Yeah. So how do you coach them through that?
The bottom line. So a lot of it is the questioning. It's trying to work out what's really going on, because they don't come to you with those problems. Confidence, quite often they will. I'm lacking confidence. Can you help me get over that? But it's the coaching through of where that's come from, why, and what are they scared of? What's that fear? Procrastination is another really big one, because they never call it procrastination, or they never call it fear, which is what procrastination often is. So they don't recognise it as that. So what they think is the problem, you've got to really dig down and see what is the fear. Or 99% of the time, if you really peel back all of the layers, it comes down to not feeling good enough.
Yes. Yeah.
It's always what's at the root of it. So it's looking at why you don't feel good enough, and actually coaching through that and building confidence and using those coaching skills to
helping them then recognize what they do bring and who they are and why they are important. Brilliant. So if we take that wider around just leadership generally in leading your business, kind of what do you see as leadership mindsets that influence high performance, both positively and negatively?
I think we touched on this earlier. We've definitely got a growth mindset. We're always open-minded to everything and anything. So we're always learning. The world's always evolving, not always the way you want it to. But that's our mindset, isn't it? It's always a positive outlook, see the best in people, open-minded, growth mindset. Where's the opportunity? Where's the learning? Where's the lessons we can learn from this? If there's anything ever go wrong, we learn these lessons we need to learn. It's that sort of we have that mindset, don't we?
So that's your mindset. Is that what you would say is key for leaders to have? That open-mindedness, that growth mindset, that continuous improvement approach. That's the key, those are the keys to your leadership mindset for high performance.
I'm no expert, but my gut instinct. Listen to my instinct again. Here we go. Yes.
Because you see that in yourselves.
I see it in others as well. I see it in other great leaders.
Yeah, when you reflect back on companies that we've worked for before we had our own businesses, and you look at who had successful companies, who were good leaders, why were they good leaders? They were always approachable. They always had a growth mindset. They weren't sensitive to constructive feedback. They were willing, that growth mindset within themselves, they were willing to actually take on board what you said about them. That's really important. And part of that is accountability as well. So willing to constantly be self-analysing. And able to pivot, able to move. Fast decision making is absolutely key.
So we're pulling out there some really key habits as a leader, isn't it? And it's that watching, listening, responding, being those key underpinning parts that help you drive it, and that willingness to learn, to reflect, which, as we're looking at the themes we've run through already, it pulls out some of those key aspects around high performance. One last bit to touch on before I ask you around your top tips, which we always end our podcast on. So we mentioned the two-letter abbreviation AI earlier. It's quite prevalent, isn't it? And so we've got AI, we've got automation coming in a lot, which is kind of affecting customer expectations. It's affecting business. So What do you think high performance will look like? Now, this is you getting your crystal ball out, but what do you think high performance will look like over the next, say, 5 years, with that whole AI automation element coming in? And what should leaders now perhaps begin to start to prepare for, should be starting to do in order to continue that, high performance with AI and automation in mind? Any crystal ball?
Yeah, let me just get my crystal ball out and we'll have a look, shall we? It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. AI is evolving very, very, very quickly to the point where I think it's gonna have to be regulated very, very soon, if not already. We use about 5 or 6 different AI tools that all do different jobs.
Yeah.
The tools help us work more efficiently. They don't take over anyone's role.
Yeah.
Whereas when AI first came out, everyone thought they were going to lose their jobs. Oh, they're going to lose their jobs. Oh, marketing, you can do your own marketing now because you've got AI can do it. Okay, it's only as good as what you feed into it.
Yeah.
And that's the same for leadership as well. It's only your leadership, your team is only as good as how you handle them and what you feed into. And it's if you've got no experience and no lessons on how to use AI, then what you're going to get out is just going to be very generic. And the whole world's going to be so generic.
Yeah.
And this is why we have to get to know, when we built your website, we had to get to know you, your business, what you set out to achieve. It had to be built all around you and your keywords. So that's how AI was used in the process of writing some of the copy of your website.
Yeah.
But you don't want to sound too generic. So then you have to then put more character into it and make it more humanized and use more transitional words to make it flow better like a human has wrote it. Because if Chat GPT has written this website and Chat GPT has written this website, how does Google decipher between the two of which one to promote and push in front of the other one? If a human's written this one and it talks about that one subject in great depth, it will then promote this one better. So from our perspective, it's still being used. It will grow and grow and grow. It is very good. It's not perfect. It still makes a lot of mistakes, but I can't see at the moment it would actually replace us. If it could, that'd be quite cool.
I think the high performing businesses will be the ones that keep the human element. I mean, I said at the start that I'm non-compliant. I don't tend to do what everyone else is doing, and I think that is what's tending to happen. When you go on to social media, everything looks the same. It's the same as, just wearing different clothing, really, isn't it? And I think that's what we're going to see more of. How are you going to stand out if you're all saying the same stuff with the same language? And the humanized, I mean, we've all been on those big, big companies where we've tried to speak to somebody about our TV or our Wi-Fi or our phone, and you get sent around and around in circles. You get the chat bot, you get, all of that stuff. And it's infuriating. You just want to speak to a human, and I think the companies that will be the high performing ones are the ones that keep the humans at the forefront. Have the AI tools working in the background, but do not let go of the human, because that's how you build trust. You can't build trust with AI.
So what I'm picking up there is actually the concept in some ways of discernment being really key. That yes, use AI as a tool. The high performing companies and individuals will learn the tools, understand what they bring, and will use them accordingly, but will discern how and when to use them. And that key aspect of where we really will stand out is where that human element still is a core part of it, that we as an individual are shaping and using the tools, but not allowing them to take over.
Which just seems sort of counterintuitive to where everybody's going at the moment, is to be high performing, to do better. You've got to be on the AI bus. You've got to be doing all of these things. I mean, I've had clients that have been like, I need to use AI more in my business, and I need to use it a certain amount of times a day, and it's like, says who?
Right. Just because they've seen someone on social media going, AI is taking over and doing this and doing that, and they present themselves as some thought leader in AI, and then they're
probably
gullible
selling
enough,
an AI course.
because they're gullible, and then your client was gullible enough to sort of listen to it and go, oh, I need to use AI this many times a day, and I need to do this. Like, what? What are you
It's the
talking about? Who says
scaremongering,
that?
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the scaremongering of if you
don't,
keep
your
with
business
it,
is going to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And, well,
But
they're
actually,
rubbish.
I really do think that
I think you're totally right. The human element is really key, because when I look at social media and I'm looking and I'm just going, oh no, this is just like Jello. It's just bland. It's
Yep.
not engaging me at all. I can tell it's AI because you haven't even taken your squiggles out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just doesn't engage me. Whereas where people are, in fact, there was a businessman I know was saying that he'd been told off recently by some people who'd read his post and were criticising him because he'd got some grammatical errors in it, and he said, "Yeah, that's because I don't use AI."
Yeah.
And this is my human thought.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the person shut up about it
Yeah.
because they realised, actually, you're being authentic. So again, we've got that discernment and authenticity are perhaps the things that are going to help you to stand out.
Yeah.
So it's been. You got one other thing to.
I was going to add something to this.
Yeah.
Because there's now national research and data that show that people that are using AI is so generic that it's turning customers off.
Yes.
And the same with graphics as well. So they're getting AI to create graphics, AI to create different images for them, and people are using them in their businesses, and it's actually, what's the word?
It's discrediting them, isn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, so it's actually discrediting them.
Yeah.
And they're losing customers for it.
Yeah.
They're getting unfollows and leaving the business and not using them. And meanwhile, the business owner is thinking they're so clever. They've written this post with AI. It took them 2 minutes, and AI's created this image, and it looks crap.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It is rubbish. AI is not a graphic designer. It didn't go to college for 3 to 5 years to learn graphic design. It doesn't have a designer. It just crams everything in as quick as it can.
Yeah, and because everybody else is using it, got on the similar boat.
They all look the same.
They all look the same.
They all come from the same place. Yet the business owner thinks they're really clever.
Yeah.
People buy people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and that's you cannot build trust with a company if you don't learn the.
Lovely loop back again to that keyword trust, isn't it? Not just trust within our team, but trust with those that we're working with as a key component. And so therefore, your prediction and how do we adjust for it is discernment on how we use it, and then let's keep being human, because that will generate the trust with people. Yeah. So it's been great having you guys here, hearing how you use data, etc., to drive business for you and for those businesses you work with, but particularly to take that beyond marketing and into wider concept of business, and hear what are some of those key components around driving high performance. So we come to the end of our podcast, and so we always end with, what's your top tip? So in one sense, something for our listeners and watchers to kind of take with them, a key part that you see. And I'm going to ask each of you, Hayley first, then you, James, kind of what are your top tips for people for driving high performance? So Hayley, your top tip?
Probably just coming back around to what I said earlier about slowing down and actually having a look at what part you are playing in your performance, and what of those hurdles needs to be dealt with, either for you to knock it down or overcome it, to be able to push forward for higher performance. It's always an inside job.
Yeah, so you've got several elements even in that comment there, isn't it? It's that taking time to stop and to look, to know when to accelerate and when to decelerate, but also that work you may need to do on yourself or on an obstacle to ensure that it doesn't become that obstacle. Great, thank you, Hayley. James, what about you? What's your top tips for high performance?
I think there's so many you could give, and there's so much we've got out today as well. There's things like, we see business owners that need to be more self-analytical because they seem to find excuses not to do what needs to be done in their business. So that's a procrastination, and they need to ask themselves, like, what am I doing right now? Is this me not doing what needs to be done? Because honestly, they start asking those questions to themselves, they'll start growing quicker, faster, and they'll get more progression, won't they? So there's those who's like, be self-analytical, ask yourself those questions. Always rely on the data. And if you're going to do any sort of marketing for yourself, have a strategy. What is the goal? Work towards it. And in anything to do with leadership and management, then I would strongly advise, again, looking at the data, using gut instinct, and be approachable and share that goal with everyone in your team.
Yeah, brilliant.
Communication.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for putting all those strands together of what we've explored today. It's been great to have you in the Leadership Lounge. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for tuning in and listening and watching us in the Leadership Lounge this month. We look forward to you joining us again next month. Thank you.